So again, this is the continuation of chapter 9. We call it part 2. And in part 2, we are elaborating on multiplier effects. The multiplier analysis or multiplier effects was discussed in a private sector only economy. Now we will have a very interesting implication of the Keynesian economy, that there are some exogenous variables such as lump sum tax or the government spending, the independent one, which can be deliberately changed by the government. Therefore, it is something which was putting the economy into a recession can be corrected by deliberate action of the government. So again, let me explain the model as that the vertical axis is showing the planned aggregate expenditure, horizontal axis is showing the income, and the 45-degree line, I show it with the green, the 45-degree line is showing equilibrium condition, y is equal aggregate expenditure. And the planned aggregate expenditure has a slope less than 1. And if we are in this situation, the equilibrium level of income is y0. So basically the point A here is the equilibrium. If the income is less than this, we are moving along this, and if the income is increasing, we are moving, the plan of the people moves alongside this curve. Let's say if we have y1, actually we are going to be in point B here, and if the income is at y2, we are going to be in point C. And automatically, if the income drops, income is going to be bounced back. The reason is that at this level, this is the amount which has been produced. This is the value of income in the 45-degree line. So this is the income. And this is the amount which people are planning to invest, to buy from goods and services market. It means that there is shortage here. There is shortage. And this gap, it's unplanned inventory change. So inventories are going down very fast. So if we have something from the previous year, it's going to be sold out quickly. It means that the firms would think of increasing their output because they are producing less than what people are planning to buy. Quite oppositely, in point C, the amount which is being produced, is, so we call this one B prime, and we call this one C prime, okay? And now, how much is the income? This Y2, okay? Y2 is 45-degree line, so this whole thing is the amount of produced. How much people are planning to buy? They are planning to buy this much. So it means that part of the production is not planned and it's going to be going to inventories. So unplanned, these are unplanned inventory changes. If it is positive, it means that it's been produced but not sold, the firms are going to decrease their production. If it is produced but the spending is far higher than that, they think that they are in shortage, so they are increasing, and we are moving to this point. So soon after this is happening, we are going to come back to the equilibrium point. We're going to come back. So moving alongside the planned aggregate expenditure, it's only stable if it is intersection. Any other points like B or C are unstable. It's short-lived, and it's going to be coming back to the equilibrium. However, if the exogenous factors in plan aggregate expenditure, like exogenous factors, which we assumed, this analysis is ceteris paribus, exogenous factors or variables. This is autonomous consumption, autonomous investment, tax, and government spending. If these ones change, then we are going to have a shift upward or downward in the, let's say that these are dropping. Okay, these are not in the control of the government, and these are dropping. And then we are going to have a recession. Okay, so now equilibrium is going to be in point B prime. And let's assume, just for the sake of argument, that this is a potential GDP. It means that long run level of output when unemployment rate, cyclical unemployment rate is 0. So it means that the actual unemployment rate is equal fractional plus structural, and the cyclical is 0. So y minus this is cyclical. We explained it in chapter 7. Okay, so this is an ideal level of production, but for some reasons these are decreased, maybe for pessimism. So consumers lose their confidence, producers lose their confidence, and then this is shifting downward. So we are going to have a new equilibrium at this, whereas this is an ideal equilibrium. So we are in a recessionary gap. A recessionary gap is, if I want to remind you with the alternative way of showing, this is time. Let's say we are in time 0, t equal t0, and the long run relationship, long run trend, as we showed in chapter 5, is the ideal one. y0. So this is potential output. But we are producing less than that. y1. So this gap is called recession. It's because the fluctuation of we are producing not equal to what is ideally can be produced, but far lower than that. Alternatively, maybe optimism happens, if this is going to go upward due to optimism, if the private sector is feeling very excited, the A is increasing, I is increasing, then we may actually move to this level of expenditure, AE2. And if we are producing, the new equilibrium is going to be here, not here. It's going to be here. And that is when economy might be actually producing far more, Y2. So this is called expansionary gap, and this is called recessionary gap. Okay, so something interesting, that these two variables are in control of the government. They are discretionary control variables. The government cannot dictate that, you're doing a wrong estimation, your optimism or pessimism is wrong. But the government can actually control its fiscal measures. Can change T and G, increase or decrease, and bring the economy to the ideal situation. So fiscal policies can come to help. And stabilize the economy. That is the argument which multiplier effects is helping us to understand. How it's going to happen? Let's rewrite our model. Consumption was A plus B, disposable income Y minus T, and this is a ad valorem tax or a lump sum tax. Investment, we assume it is fixed amount. Government spending is given, and the tax is also given, which is appearing in this is called disposable income. Okay, so if this is our model, private sector, public sector, and the equilibrium would be Y equal aggregate expenditure, or investment plus government spending, injections, equal saving plus the taxes. Both can be implemented. We go for this for the time being, but in some examples you may wish to use this equation. So if we go with this, y will be equal to a plus b y minus t 0 plus, so up to here is the consumption, and then I put, and I forgot to write it here, c plus I plus g. Aggregate expenditure is these three. So consumption, I wrote it. Then the next is the I, which is I0, and the next is the G, which is G0. Where the tax goes? Tax goes inside the income. So it's in order to get consumers get how much planning to invest, they have to pay the tax first. So take out the tax, and then the consumption function would look like this. So this is the I, this is the G. So let's solve it. Y is going to be equal A plus BY minus BT 0 plus I 0 plus G0. So these are the only unknowns. So we take this to the left, is going to be y minus by is equal a plus, minus bt0 plus I0 plus G0. Therefore, the common factor is y. So this is basically 1 minus by. Therefore, y is equal to a minus bt0 plus I0 plus G0 divided by 1 minus b. The reason that I'm doing this in a parametrical way, now that if we have been given the magnitude of autonomous consumption, marginal propensity to consume here and here, and the ad valorem tax or the lump sum tax or investment and the government spending as it's given, then you can determine the level of, this is exactly the intersection of the aggregate expenditure with 45-degree lines. So what is this y? The y is determined from this equation. Not only that, if we say that any of these exogenous variable change, we could say that how much this is shift and the new equilibrium is where. So how many multiplier we have? Multipliers. Multiplier effects. Here we call it effects. If a change, so this is called autonomous consumption multiplier. And that is the equilibrium income as a result of a change in A. If A is increasing, this is shifting upward. If A is decreasing, this is shifting downward. So the coefficient is 1 multiplied by this factor. Okay? So it is 1 over 1 minus B. Or if this is MPC, we could say 1 over 1 minus MPC. And we know that 1 minus MPC is 1 MPS. And if B was 0.75, okay, so this is going to be 1 over 0.25, which is 4. So it means that if A is increasing by, let's say, 10 units, therefore the equilibrium income is increasing by 40 units, because 10 multiplied by 4 is become 40. That's the meaning of that. Next would be, again, the private sector, investment multiplier. Investment or autonomous investment multiplier. This is the delta y divided by delta I0. So again, you would see that the coefficient would be 1 multiplied, this is 1 multiplied by that, so it becomes 1 over 1 minus b, and it's 1 over MPS. For the government spending and the tax, we also have government spending multiplier, and that is the changes in the equilibrium level of income as a result of a change in the spending. This is exactly equal 1 over 1 minus B again, or 1 over marginal propensity to save. So these are 4, these are 4. The other one would be the tax multiplier. Multiplier of tax, I use the red. It is the coefficient of t, which is minus b, divided by this. So the delta y, as a result of a change in the tax, is going to be minus b over 1 minus b. So minus b is minus marginal propensity to consume, and 1 minus MPC is MPS. So MPC was 0.75 and this was 0.25. So this is basically minus, don't forget the minus sign, minus 3. So this is the only one which is different from this 4, this 4. They are 4 and this one is minus 3. So in terms of absolute value, or the magnitude is smaller, and in terms of the sign is different. It means that if the tax is increasing, then it's a shift downward. If the tax is increasing, this is shifting downward. And if the tax is tax cut, means we take lesser tax, it is shifting upward, because it's the sign is opposite. If the tax is increasing, we are going to a lower level of income. If the tax is given cut, then we are going to the higher level of income. So it's the negative sign is very important. The negative sign is showing that it's going to opposite direction, whereas the investment, government spending, and autonomous consumption, or multiplier, we're going in the same direction. If the government spending is increasing, the GDP is also increasing 4 times more, something like that. So this multiplier effect is suggesting that government can measure the magnitude of recession or expansion, and with the help of their control variables, bring the economy to the ideal position. So this fiscal policy tools as a solution to recession or expansion, or we can say excessive contraction or expansion. That's another way of saying it. This is exactly what I try to show it in the slides now. So we have 3 different multipliers: government spending multiplier, tax multiplier, and we can have both of them changing. This is called balanced budget. If we increase or decrease both tax and spending up or down together, so as we keep the budget balance. There's a point here to raise, that remember that the budget was the tax minus government spending. Imagine that in our initial state this was 100 and this was 100, so this is 0. So this is called balanced budget. Okay, so balanced budget might be an ideal situation for the government, but the other ideal thing is that the GDP to be equal to potential or full employment, potential output. So if we are in recession, Y is smaller than full employment. And what will be the solution? We want to increase it, right? So we can actually increase the government spending and then causing the Y to increase. But guess what's happening? If we only increase the negative side of this, the balance, the B, is going to be negative. So we go to the deficit. Or we may give tax cut and causing that the Y will go up. And then again, because we are reducing this and we keep this one fixed, G fixed, the positive side is less than the negative side. Again, we go to the budget deficit. But if we increase both of them equally up or down, then the Y is also changing, but the budget will remain balanced. This is what's called the balanced budget. So if we have two contradictory objectives, in this case, in these two cases, we have conflict of objectives. For the sake of removing recession or expansion, we may decide to change one of these items, but if you only change one of them, either T or G, you definitely are going to contribute to the deficit. So one objective is to have a balanced budget. Another objective is to have a full employment output. If we choose only one of them, we're going to have a conflict of interest. But if we change both of them, it is possible to change both and bring the economy to the full employment and also keep our budget balance. So in the examples, this is going to be further clear. So what is the government spending multiplier? We already said it's 1 over MPS. What is in the examples which we have, this is coming from the same. Now let's assume that the government spending, which was 100, now it's increased to 150. Initially, our equilibrium was 900, but because the $50 million is increase in the government, the economy is increased to 1,100. And the difference here because initial equilibrium was 900. Okay, delta Y over delta G is 1 over 0.25, which is 4, and this is increased by 50. So how much is going to be delta Y? Delta Y is going to be 200. And that is exactly 200 increase in so the new equilibrium is going to be this point. So we have done it with the table. The equilibrium is here now, before was here. And basically we are looking at to equate this column with this column. Where is equal? It's the plan aggregate expenditure is C plus, this should be 1,100. I think this is, so this is income is equal C plus I plus G. So there's a mistake here. We can do it with the equation also, with the graph also. So our initial equilibrium was 900, and this dark purple line is showing RC plus I plus G1 equal this. Now the G1 is become G2 by increased by $50 million. So this is shifting upward. So only $50 million increase in the government spending. The GDP is increased by $200 million. So that's also the way that you can show it with the 45-degree line and the graphical presentation. And the equation way also you can do it. How about the tax multiplier? With tax multiplier, we showed it's equal to this one. It is equal to, in the numerator we have marginal propensity to consume, and in the denominator we have marginal propensity to save. So this is what I proved it here by having it the general equilibrium condition, level of output based on the exogenous factors. Then I took the partial derivative against the T0 and I calculated the minus MPC over MPS. So this is what is also shown here as the tax multiplier. So if we are in a recession and we want to increase the income, we have to give tax cut. We have to give tax cut. And it means that reducing tax will increase the output to the desirable level. The balanced budget multiplier, it's the combination of both. So if we increase both government spending and the tax each by 200, okay, each by 200, we would see that our economy will come to equilibrium, and the balanced budget is not going to be changed. Budget is exactly going to be remaining balanced. And this is an alternative way. So I rewrite it down here with, so this is basically 1 over MPS. Okay, and how much we have to change it? Delta Y multiplied by that ratio, delta G multiplied by 1 over MPS. And if we only change the tax multiplier, it's going to be MPC minus divided by MPS. And if we add them together, so this is also the delta T multiplied by minus MPC divided by MPS. If we add them together, so 1 over MPS minus MPC over MPS. So the denominator is the common. So 1 minus MPC divided by this is basically become 1. That's why the balanced budget multiplier is equal 1. If we both change delta T equal delta G in the same direction, both increase, both decrease, the output is going to be increase or decrease by the same amount. So if we increase this by 200 and this one by 200, the GDP is going to be increased exactly by 200. Okay, so that is basically once we do balanced budget multiplier. So we are not going to create a budget deficit or budget surplus. We are keeping our balance because both in the equation of B, which is T minus G, delta B is equal delta T minus delta G. So if both are going to go at the same direction, let's say 200 increase here, 200 increase here, this is zero change in the balance. So that's why we call it balance multiplier. With the balanced budget multiplier, there is a warning here. Although we have added government, the story told about the multipliers is still incomplete and oversimplified. So this balanced budget, the balanced budget is only works if the tax is equal T0 and the G is equal G0. If we take the more sophisticated model like T equal T0 plus tax rate multiplied by T0 and the G also either the same or more sophisticated, then it's not going to be remaining balance, and this has been explained in Appendix B. So we have been treating the net tax T, and this is lump sum tax or ad valorem tax, fixed amount. It's not proportional, it's not aggressive or regressive. It's just a constant amount of tax collected and planned to be collected from the society. So the Appendix B is showing more realistic situation, and I can actually explain it right away before further ado. If the consumption is A plus B y minus T, okay, and the I is equal I0, and government spending is government spending, this is the Appendix B, and the tax is equal tax 0 plus a tax rate multiplied by the level of income. So the government is deciding to take a lump sum tax plus a proportional tax. If the GDP is increasing, the government is obtaining more tax. So here the consumption looks like this: A plus B y minus lump sum tax minus tax rate. So this is the tax rate. Here we could assume it is proportional, e.g. proportional. Multiplied by y. Okay, if we have this situation, the economy, the equilibrium would be y equal aggregate expenditure, correct? And aggregate expenditure is always equal C plus I plus G. So let's put it together. Y is going to be equal to consumption first, so first consumption, this equation comes, and I multiply it. So it's going to be A plus BY minus BT0 minus B tax rate and Y here. Okay, so here we have two unknown Y. And then this is taking care of the consumption already, consumption. How about the I? I, we assumed it is exogenous. And the G is also exogenous. So if we solve it for Y, we have to take this and this to the left side. So it becomes Y minus BY. This becomes plus B multiplied by T multiplied by Y. And all these is going to be equal to A, and then this part minus B T0 minus I0 plus, these two are plus, only the negative one is this component. This component is negative, but A and I0 and G0 are the positive one. So the common factor is Y, so we say that it is 1 minus B plus BT multiplied by Y over A minus BT0 plus I0 plus G. Now y is going to be equal to a minus b t0 plus I0 plus G0 divided by 1 minus b plus bt. So this is going to be our equilibrium condition if we have proportional tax. If we have proportional tax plus a lump sum tax, then the multipliers are going to be different. The multiplier in the simple model was 1 over 1 minus b. For the A, I0 and G, the multiplier was this, but the new model, so this is simple model. In the new model, it's going to be 1 over 1 minus b plus bt. And this is smaller than this. This is smaller than this. And I can, if you check the model, if we have like this, it's going to be pivoting like this because the slope of the equation is going to change. So if we were here, now we are going to have equilibrium here. And so this has been shown actually in the appendix, and you should be able to see it. How about the tax multiplier? If lump sum tax is changing, then before was minus b over 1 minus b. This time it's become minus b divided by 1 minus b plus bt. Again, this is smaller than the simple model. The simple model is an extreme case. So I would encourage you to spend some time in the appendix because we may give you questions from there. I will now stop it, and the last part is talking a general discussion about the federal budget. Thank you.